This is the Real Faith Podcast, where we talk about a movie clip, a scripture, and make an application. We hope these provide encouragement to you. I'm your host, Chuck Bauer. After a successful church ministry of 28 years, I became a public school teacher, currently teaching high school English. We hope you are blessed by these episodes.
You guys ever go to Sunday school?
Puny God.
I love you. I know.
Welcome back to Real Faith. I hope your summer's been a blast. Mine's winding down and I'm already gearing up for the new school year, studying lesson plans and getting excited for my 9th and this year 12th graders. God has truly blessed me with this calling. As I've mentioned before, I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan, though I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet, so maybe I'm not the ultimate fan. Some purists might say so, right? Nolan seems obsessed with time, kind of like I am. Think about his time movies, Interstellar, Tenet, and of course, Inception. So we have time and space with Interstellar, Miller's Planet. Remember I talked about that back in January. Time in reverse with Tenet, and time in dreams with Inception. And let's not forget those epic soundtracks by the incomparable Hans Zimmer, who also scored one of my all-time favorites, Gladiator. Not a Nolan film, but still one of my all-time favorites. As I said back in January, I kicked off the podcast with a time theme using that mind-blowing clip from Miller's Planet in Interstellar, exploring how time is created by God and He's outside of it. Today, we're diving into a similar path with Inception, which just celebrated its 15th anniversary. I rewatched it my third time, and it still blows me away. What a powerful story. So if you haven't seen the movie, pause this episode and check it out. Right now, I looked it up. It's streaming on HBO. Of course, you can rent it on Amazon. It has a stellar cast, or maybe I should say interstellar. Hey, I got to get those dad jokes ready for school, right? It has Leonardo DiCaprio, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Ellen Page, Tom Hardy, Ken Watanabe, Cillian Murphy, and Tom Berenger. But it's a wild premise that hooks you. Can you invade someone's dream, plant an idea in their subconscious, and change their real-world actions? Crazy, right? So look, again, I've got major spoilers ahead. So if you haven't watched the movie and you want to, pause this episode, go check it out, and come back. So the film opens with a dream within a dream. DiCaprio's character Cobb and his team extract secrets from Saito, but you don't realize there's another dream until they wake up on a train. Saito then hires them, not for extraction, but inception, which is planting an idea in someone's mind, right? So he wants to plant this idea in his rival's heir to break up the rival's empire. In other words, the heir's dad is getting ready to pass away, and he wants to plant this idea in the heir's mind to break up the company so Saito's company would have full control, right? So to make it stick, this idea that they want to plant, they go 3 dreams deep, technically 4 if you count Limbo. But again, it's hard to explain, especially if you haven't seen it. So the heir must believe that the idea is his own. Again, if this seems confusing without seeing it, I know it is. So watching it recently, I saw this deep connection to our faith walk. Like ideas planted in dreams, God has planted eternity in our hearts. Ecclesiastes 3:11 says, He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. That's what Ecclesiastes 3:11 says. So we sense that there's more than just this world, right? If you will, levels of reality beyond just what we're experiencing right now. In Inception, those dream layers represent shifting realities, each deeper and more distorted by time. So this theme hits its peak in the Limbo scene, where Cobb ventures into the deepest level, a raw, forgotten dream state to rescue Saito. Limbo feels eternal, okay? It's a place where time warps and reality blurs. You can spend a whole lifetime in the dream when it's just a few minutes of this reality. So it's here that Cobb reminds Saito of a forgotten truth. So listen to this pivotal audio clip, and then we'll discuss it. Here's our clip of the week.
I've come back for you. To remind you of something. Something you once knew. That this world is not real. To convince me to honor our arrangement. To take a leap of faith, yes. Come back. So we can be young men together again.
Powerful, right? This world is not real. Come back with me. That's what Cobb was trying to get Saito to realize. He was in a dream. He had spent basically the equivalent of his whole life in this limbo dream state. So it kind of echoes how our earthly reality is temporary. It's a shadow of what's to come. So hang with me. These dreams within dreams, these different realities, remind me of Scripture's progression of realities. If you think about it, the Old Testament is one level. Hebrews 1:1 tells us, quote, long ago, at many times and in many ways, God spoke to our fathers by the prophets, end quote. So the prophets were pointing to the coming of Jesus. That was their reality. Jesus hadn't come, obviously, but ultimately he would. So their reality, forgiveness was built on sacrifices, right? There had to be blood, but it was the blood of the sacrifices. Then comes the New Testament reality. Christ arrives, his blood ushering in a new covenant. And Hebrews contrasts the old sacrifices with Christ's perfect one sacrifice, transitioning us into grace and really ushering in the early church. But as believers, we look to our ultimate reality, eternity with God one day, and Hebrews hints at this future hope where we will fully know him. I think this echoes thoughts from Ken Boa's book, God I Don't Understand. I've quoted from this book before, but he's got this amazing chapter on time. And Boa calls time this great mystery, right? We live in it, but we can't fully define it. God transcends time. He's in an eternal now, where 1,000 years are like a day. The psalmist says that, as well as 2 Peter 3:8 says that. And Ken Boa explains that God isn't bound by our clocks. He surveys all history at once. He's outside the flow that kind of drags us along, right? Because time is a created thing. God created it, and God is outside of that time. I know this is kind of mind-blowing to think about. But in his grace, God enters our time-bound world through Jesus, and he invites us into this new reality. And Boa ties this to Ecclesiastes. Again, eternity has been set in our hearts. We long for something more beyond this aging, beyond this decay and fleeting moments that we have here on earth. In heaven, time won't constrain us. There will be no more, of course, physical aging, no more cycles, no more pain or tears. Revelation says even, of course, no more death. So we're going to experience this incredible reality of eternity. We're going to be in God's presence where every now is holy and full. So if you think about it, the blood kind of marks these transitions. Again, in the Old Testament, we had sacrifices foreshadowing Christ's blood in the New, which leads us to eternity. So if that's our ultimate reality, how should we live now? Well, again, the writer of Hebrews gives this amazing practical application in chapter 10. It's in verses 22 through 25. It says, draw near to God with sincere hearts, hold unswervingly to hope, spur one another on toward love and good deeds, and don't give up meeting together, but encourage each other all the more as we see the day approaching. So look, I'm not saying that this world isn't real, all right? Don't misunderstand me. It's very real, and God calls us to engage it. But we're all going to leave it one day. And the things that this world chases, the wealth, the status, the nice things. Look, I love to have nice things too, right? But they're all gonna fade. What lasts? Well, the relationship with God and others lived with eternal eyes. So I think we have to remember that that is our ultimate reality. So thanks for joining Real Faith. Let me give a shout out to Daniel Allen for his recording and editing of Real Faith. I couldn't do it without him. If this resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with a friend. Until next time, keep seeking the eternal in the everyday. God bless. If you enjoyed this episode of Real Faith, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes. Remember, you can find us at wherever podcasts are found and on scbower.com. That's scbower.com. There's also contact and bio information on that website. And if you have a question or if I can help you out, please let me know.